Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a point in life when you realize that the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The one who speaks the most is not always the one who holds the power. We have been conditioned to believe that speaking up, proving a point, or defending ourselves at every turn is what makes us strong. But real power, real influence, comes from something much deeper. It comes from knowing when to be silent. It comes from mastering the art of restraint. Silence holds a kind of strength that few truly understand. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, to prove, to justify, the ability to remain silent is a rare and powerful skill. When you walk into a room and carry yourself with quiet confidence, people notice. You don't have to announce your worth because your presence does it for you. There is something about a person who is not easily rattled, who does not feel the need to respond to every challenge, who understands that real power is not in words but in composure. Think about the most influential people in history, the ones who led with wisdom and authority. They were not the ones who spoke just to be heard. They were the ones who listened, who observed, who chose their words carefully. They were the ones who understood that silence is not the absence of power but the very expression of it. When you remain silent in situations where others expect a reaction, you shift the dynamic. The person who can stay calm when others are losing control is always the one with the advantage. Silence commands respect because it forces others to lean in, to wonder, to consider. When you are quiet, people don't know what you are thinking, and that gives you an edge. They become more aware of their own words, more cautious about their approach. Silence has a way of making people uncomfortable, not because it is weak, but because it is unpredictable. The more you talk, the more people understand how to respond to you. But when you withhold, when you stay composed, you remain in control of the situation. In moments of conflict, silence can be the most powerful response. People argue to get a reaction, to pull you into their energy, to make you engage in a battle that may not even be worth fighting. But when you refuse to react, when you stay quiet and let them exhaust themselves, you maintain your position of power. You show them that you are not easily provoked, that you are not at the mercy of their words. And that frustrates people more than anything. And they expect an argument, a defense, an explanation. But when you give them nothing, you take their power away. Silence is also a sign of confidence. Insecurity speaks too much. It overexplains, it seeks validation, it needs to be heard. But confidence doesn't beg for attention. Confidence knows its worth and doesn't need to prove it. When you know who you are, when you are secure in your own power, you do not feel the need to respond to every challenge. You do not waste energy on trying to convince others of your value. You let your actions speak for themselves. People respect those who do not give their words away carelessly. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you do choose to speak, people listen because they know that you are not just filling space with meaningless talk. They know that if you are saying something, it matters. And that is what makes a person powerful. Not the ability to talk the loudest, but the ability to say the least and still be heard. In relationships, in business, in leadership, the ability to remain silent when necessary is a skill that separates those who command respect from those who chase it. It is not about suppressing your voice, but about understanding its value. It is about knowing when to speak and when to hold back, when to engage and when to walk away. It is about recognizing that sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Silence is not just about the absence of words. It is about the presence of control. It is about mastering yourself, your reactions, and your emotions in a world that constantly demands your response. When you control your silence, you control your life. You are no longer a puppet to your emotions or a victim of other people's words. Instead, you become the person who dictates the energy of every situation. You gain the ability to pause, to think, to process before you act. And that alone gives you an edge that many people will never have. Most people react impulsively. They speak before they think. They defend before they understand. They argue before they listen. But when you learn the art of silence, you break free from that cycle. You stop responding to every little thing that tries to provoke you. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop wasting your energy on conversations that do not serve you. And in doing so, you step into a place of complete control. Imagine a moment where someone insults you, challenges you, or tries to belittle you. The instinct for most people is to react, to fight back, to prove something. But when you choose silence instead, you take away their power. You show them that their words have no effect on you. You remain composed. And in that moment, you become the one in control. The person who can remain calm while others lose their temper is always the one who holds the real power. Silence gives you the ability to see things clearly. When you are always talking, always reacting, your mind is cluttered with noise. But when you learn to stay quiet, to observe, to listen, you begin to notice things you never saw before. You start understanding people's intentions, their fears, their insecurities. You start seeing patterns in behavior that you never noticed when you were too busy responding. And with that awareness comes power. Because when you know what is happening beneath the surface, you can move strategically instead of emotionally. In difficult conversations, silence is often the most powerful tool you can use. When you don't rush to fill the gaps, when you allow silence to linger, it makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to reveal more than they intended. They start explaining themselves, overcompensating, exposing their own weaknesses. This is why silence is often the best negotiation tool. The less you say, the more power you have. The person who speaks less always has the upper hand because they are not giving away their position. There is also a deep sense of peace that comes with mastering silence. You no longer feel the need to correct every misconception about you. You no longer feel the urge to respond to every criticism. You stop allowing external noise to dictate your internal state. Instead, you create a space within yourself that is calm, steady, and untouched. That is true control. When you master silence, you gain time to think before you act, time to process before you speak, time to make decisions that are based on logic and wisdom rather than temporary emotions. This is how you build a life that is intentional rather than reactive. This is how you gain control over your relationships, your career, your personal growth. It is not about never speaking, but about speaking with purpose. It is about choosing your words carefully, understanding that every response you give is a choice, and that sometimes the most powerful choice you can make is to say nothing at all. Not every battle needs your voice. Not every argument deserves your energy. The truth is, there is power in knowing when to stay silent, when to walk away, and when to let your actions do the talking. Many people feel the need to respond to everything, to explain themselves at every turn, to defend their position in every conversation. But that is not strength, it is exhaustion. The moment you realize that silence can be a response, you start conserving your energy for the things that truly matter. When you argue with someone who is not willing to listen, you are not engaging in a discussion. You are wasting your time. Some people do not want to understand you, they simply want to provoke you. They thrive on your reaction because your reaction feeds their sense of control. The best way to handle these situations is not to fight harder, but to disengage. Let them say what they want to say. Let them think what they want to think. The moment you stop needing to prove yourself, you free yourself from their grip. It takes maturity to know which battles are worth your voice. Sometimes silence is not about avoiding conflict, it is about choosing peace. You could win the argument, you could have the last word, you could prove your point, but at what cost? Your energy is valuable, your peace is priceless. You do not need to respond to everything that upsets you. You do not need to correct every person who misunderstands you. You do not need to justify your choices to people who are determined to judge you anyway. People who lack control over themselves feel the need to react to everything. They engage in every debate, they defend every decision, they explain every action. But people who are truly in control understand that not everything requires a response. They are selective with their words, they are intentional with their energy, they know that real power comes from discipline, from knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work. There are moments when silence is the greatest teacher. When someone is trying to hurt you with their words, silence shows them they have no power over you. When someone is expecting an argument, silence forces them to sit with their own frustration. When someone is spreading negativity, silence denies them the reaction they crave. It is not about weakness, it is about strategy. It is about understanding that sometimes the best way to win is to simply refuse to play the game. This does not mean you should never speak up. It does not mean you should suppress your thoughts or silence your voice when it truly matters. It means knowing the difference between battles that build you and battles that drain you. It means choosing where to invest your words and where to protect your peace. It means understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence is not about giving up, it is about rising above. It is about knowing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on meaningless arguments. It is about realizing that your peace is more important than proving a point. When you stop reacting to everything, you start gaining control over yourself. You start moving with purpose. You start protecting your energy and directing it toward things that actually make a difference. You become untouchable, not because you fight every battle, but because you choose the ones that truly matter. Silence protects your energy in ways that most people do not realize. Every conversation you engage in, every argument you entertain, every response you give takes energy. Some people will drain you not because they need clarity, but because they feed off your reactions. They provoke, they create drama, they push your buttons just to see how you respond. And the more you react, the more power you give them over your emotions. But when you choose silence, when you refuse to engage in meaningless battles, you take that power back. Your energy is one of your most valuable resources. How you use it determines the quality of your life. If you are constantly explaining yourself, constantly defending your decisions, constantly reacting to negativity, you are depleting yourself for things that do not serve you. But when you learn to guard your silence, you protect your peace. You stop wasting time on conversations that go nowhere. You stop investing energy into people who do not respect you. You become more selective about where your attention goes. And that is where your real power begins. There are people who will try to pull you into their chaos. They thrive on negativity. They want you to argue, to defend, to justify. But when you refuse to give them the reaction they expect, they lose control. Silence is not a sign of weakness, it's a statement of strength. It shows that you are not easily manipulated, that you do not let others dictate your emotions. It shows that you understand your worth and do not need to prove it to anyone. Silence also allows you to reset. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, when you are always engaged in external conflicts, you lose touch with yourself. But when you take a step back, when you remain quiet and observe, you gain clarity. You begin to see who is truly adding value to your life and who is simply taking from it. You begin to recognize the patterns of people who drain you and the ones who uplift you. And with that awareness, you can start making better choices about where you invest your time and energy. People often feel the need to respond because they fear silence. They feel uncomfortable when they are not explaining themselves, when they are not defending their position, when they are not filling the space with words. But that fear is exactly what keeps them trapped in cycles of unnecessary conflict. When you embrace silence, when you stop feeling the need to react to everything, you step into a place of control. You no longer feel obligated to engage in battles that do not serve you. You no longer feel the pressure to explain yourself to those who will never understand you. You simply exist in your own power, without seeking validation from the outside world. The more you protect your energy, the more you have to give to the things that truly matter. You start focusing on your growth, your peace, your goals. You begin to use your energy intentionally, directing it toward things that elevate you rather than drain you. You stop allowing every little thing to steal your attention, and in doing so, you become stronger. Silence does not mean you ignore everything. It means you choose what is worth your response. It means you understand that not every situation deserves your energy. It means you are aware of the people and circumstances that deplete you and that you are strong enough to disengage. When you master this, you protect not only your energy but your entire well-being. You stop being reactive and you start becoming intentional. You stop letting the world dictate your emotions and you begin to take full control of your own life. Silence allows you to become an observer, a listener, a person who truly understands what is happening beneath the surface. When you stop rushing to speak, when you resist the urge to constantly share your thoughts, you give yourself the gift of awareness. You begin to notice the unspoken messages, the shifts in energy, the true intentions behind people's words. And when you master the ability to listen without reacting, you gain an advantage that most people will never have. Most people listen just to respond. They are not truly absorbing what is being said. They are simply waiting for their turn to speak. But when you cultivate silence, when you allow yourself to fully engage in the act of listening, you start to hear things that others miss. You hear what is not being said, the hesitation in someone's voice, the contradiction in their words, the truth hidden behind their distractions. This awareness gives you clarity. It helps you navigate relationships, make better decisions, and avoid unnecessary conflicts. People reveal who they are when you give them space to talk. When you do not rush to fill the silence, when you do not interrupt their thoughts with your own, they continue to speak. And in doing so, they expose more than they intended. Silence is one of the greatest tools in negotiation, in leadership, in communication. The person who speaks less often holds the most power because they are absorbing information rather than giving it away. Being silent does not mean being passive, it means being strategic. It means knowing when to speak and when to hold back. It means recognizing that words have weight and that the fewer you use, the more impact they carry. When you do speak, people will listen because they know you are not just talking to fill the space. You are speaking with intention, with clarity, with purpose. Silence also creates a sense of mystery. When people do not know what you are thinking, when they cannot predict your every move, they are forced to pay closer attention. They wonder about your perspective, they respect your presence, they feel the weight of your energy without you having to say a word. This is how you command a room without raising your voice. This is how you lead without forcing control. This is how you gain influence. Not by speaking more, but by speaking less and observing more. When you learn to be silent, you also learn patience. You no longer feel the need to react instantly. You give yourself time to process, to analyze, to understand. You begin to see the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the emotions of the moment. And that ability to pause, to think before you speak, to choose your words carefully, is what separates the reactive from the intentional. Silence makes you more persuasive. When you are quiet, people lean in. When you do not reveal everything at once, people listen more closely. Your words hold more weight because they are not constant. They are rare, deliberate, meaningful. This is why the most powerful leaders, the most respected individuals are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who speak the least but say the most. Mastering silence allows you to connect with others on a deeper level. You become someone who truly hears, someone who understands without judgment, someone who gives space for others to express themselves fully. And in return, people trust you more. They respect your presence, they value your words because they know that when you do speak, it is worth listening to. Silence is one of the greatest tools for self-mastery. It teaches discipline, patience, and control. In a world where people feel the need to constantly express their opinions, react to every situation, and prove their worth through words, the ability to remain silent is a rare and powerful skill. It is not about suppressing your voice, but about knowing when to use it. It is about recognizing that not everything requires a response. Not every battle needs to be fought, and not every emotion should be expressed in the moment. Self-mastery begins when you learn to control your impulses, and silence is one of the greatest tests of that control. The urge to respond when provoked, the temptation to defend yourself when misunderstood, the need to explain your choices when questioned. These are all reactions that stem from ego. But true strength comes from restraint. When you can resist the need to react, when you can hold your tongue in moments of anger or frustration, you show true power. You are no longer controlled by circumstances or by the words of others. You decide how and when to engage. Silence allows you to process your emotions before acting on them. In the heat of the moment, words can be weapons. They can create damage that cannot be undone. But when you pause, when you allow yourself the space to think, you make better choices. You respond from a place of wisdom rather than emotion. This is the difference between those who live in constant conflict and those who move through life with grace and composure. It is not that they never face difficulties. It is that they do not let difficulties dictate their actions. People often mistake silence for weakness, but it is quite the opposite. It takes great strength to hold back when every part of you wants to react. It takes wisdom to know that not everything deserves your attention. It takes maturity to choose peace over proving a point. And the more you practice silence, the stronger you become. You start to notice how much more control you have over your own life. You stop feeling drained by unnecessary arguments. You stop wasting energy on things that do not matter. You start focusing on what truly does. When you master silence, you also master patience. You no longer feel the need to rush into decisions. You take your time, you observe, you analyze. You begin to notice things that others miss. The true intentions behind people's words, the hidden opportunities in difficult situations, the patterns that repeat in life. And with that awareness, you make better choices. You stop reacting and start responding with intention. Silence helps you develop an unshakable mindset. When you are no longer affected by the noise of the world, You gain an inner strength that cannot be broken. People's opinions do not sway you. Their words do not wound you. Their negativity does not reach you, because you have created a space within yourself that is untouchable. A space where you find clarity, where you connect with your true self, where you build the life you want without distractions. This is the power of silence. It transforms you. It makes you more aware, more intentional, more in control of your emotions and your actions. It separates you from those who are constantly caught in cycles of reaction and regret. It gives you the ability to move through life with purpose, to communicate with impact, to protect your energy, and to make decisions that serve your highest self. Silence is not emptiness, it is power. It is the foundation of control, discipline, and wisdom. In a world that constantly demands reactions, where noise is mistaken for strength, the ability to remain silent is a rare and invaluable skill. It allows you to observe without interference, to listen with clarity, and to respond with intention rather than impulse. Silence protects your energy, shields your peace, and gives you the space to master yourself. When you embrace silence, you step into a position of strength. You no longer allow external forces to dictate your emotions. You stop engaging in battles that do not serve you. You stop feeling the need to prove your worth through endless words. Instead, you move with confidence, knowing that your silence speaks volumes. You learn that true power is not in how much you say, but in how wisely you choose to speak. The greatest leaders, the most respected individuals, and the strongest minds have all understood the value of silence. It is not weakness, it is a strategy. It allows you to control your reactions, to navigate challenges with composure, and to command respect without forcing authority. It gives you the ability to think before you speak, to protect your energy from unnecessary conflicts, and to cultivate a presence that carries weight even without words. Mastering silence is mastering yourself. It is the key to emotional intelligence, personal growth, and lasting success. It teaches patience, resilience, and self-awareness. It helps you focus on what truly matters, letting go of distractions and unnecessary conflicts. It allows you to move with purpose, to communicate with power, and to live with a sense of calm confidence that nothing and no one can shake. So, in moments of doubt, frustration, or challenge, remember this: silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of power. Use it wisely.